Hi friends, how are you? Oh, I just realized my display for Mob Psycho 100 is still up. I gotta change that before I give my reaction. Anyway. We're about to dive into episode 12 of My Hero Academia. Also, the 100th episode of the series. So, we're gonna, I don't know if they do this for Japanese anime, but I do know for American shows, when you get to the 100th episode, it's a really big deal. It's usually around season 5, which makes sense, considering how many episodes there are per season. So, it's a big deal. So, this is probably going to have, if it's not super action-packed, this episode's going to have a lot of really cool plot moments, exposition moments. It's going to be a really in-depth episode. My favorite 100 episodes, Smallville's 100th episode was actually kind of intense and sad, actually. So, it doesn't always have to be a big, happy thing. There's always a pressure of it. Smallville's 100th episode was very intense and sad. Supergirl's episode was a little goofy. 100th episode, it was alright. That one was alright. I think Charmed, I think their 100th episode was the birth of Wyatt. So I think that was a big deal, I believe. That was their 100th episode. So usually, again, and then also Smallville had their 200th episode in season 10, but I do forget what that episode was. I can't remember what that one was about. Maybe because I actually was so busy with school, like senior year of high school, I didn't see a lot of season 10 and then a lot of season 9, unfortunately. But I own all 10 seasons, so definitely should probably start rewatching. My brother's been rewatching Smallville pretty quickly. So I own all 10 seasons on DVD, so might as well get back to it. Anyway, this episode, obviously, again, the 100th episode is going to be either really sad or really funny, but I think it's going to be really intense. I think it's going to be a lot of plot information. I mean, it's titled The New Power and All for One, so we're going to get probably a lot of history in this episode. So I think this episode's going to be a standalone episode, which usually it's not, like in terms of there won't be another one. Usually I'll be like, okay, I'll react to this episode, and then I'll react to the next episode. But next episode is titled Have a Merry Christmas, so it seems like a very weird kind of in-between episode before we get into the next season, or the next half of the season, which has to do with, I guess, them interning at an agency, and it looks like they're going to be interning, I think it's Bakugo and Shoto and Deku. I think all three, I believe from the pictures and from what I know, all three are interning at Endeavor's agency, but that's all I know. So other than that, there's nothing else to really say. This season the first half of this arc has been slow. It's been alright. There's been some fun moments. I think the thing about Ida was my first wow, real amazing moment. Bakugo's episode was solid perfection. It was fun. It was a fun episode and just so Bakugo, the whole thing. It was just a really good time. And these previous 2 episodes have been intense. For poor Deku and all that was going on and intense emotionally. But someone had said, and they're right, that the real MVP of that fight was Uraraka. She took down, she risked her life, which though she didn't, I don't know if she realized that, to kind of anchor to some degree Deku. She convinced Shinso to use his powers just to stop Deku. And she even stopped Monoma, took him down, thought ahead. Because it reminds me of that moment in the licensing episode where Uraraka goes to help, but Momo has her little stop arm and goes, "Stop!" Which I thought was funny. Stopped Uraraka. Because she was like, look at your surroundings. So it's very clear just from that and a few other things that Uraraka is really taking in everything she learns. So instead of going with her natural instinct for her, which is to go to Deku and just help him, she stopped and went, "No, he told me to do this. I'm going to listen to him." And she went and stopped all the guys, and they ended up winning, which is pretty awesome. So Uraraka was definitely the MVP of this fight. And I was a little frustrated because I was like, oh my gosh, why are we not talking about what happened? We're just ending it there. But it looks like what happened last episode at the end with them kind of reviewing is bleeding into this episode, and then we're going to talk even more about All for One and One for All, which just has to do with and One for All's new powers and the kind of the quirks. And someone had mentioned that apparently a lot of the holders of One for All were quirkless. Not all of them. So this guy had his own quirk. We don't know if if the woman, I don't remember her name, right before All Might, I don't know if she was quirkless. So my hope is that we're gonna find out who had quirks and who had what, and maybe with Gran Torino's help, we might be able to have an idea of what kind of. I didn't realize my water bottle was in camera view. We might have an idea of what kind of quirks are coming his way, but even Deku kind of realized these quirks, they are not just impressive, but they're also very powerful, and they're also juiced up by One for All. But Deku's body has only been able to handle 20%. He can't really handle more than that, and which is still crazy impressive, but he had to go back down to 5%, which still helps him win the fight. Which again shows that kind of the full counting 5%, kind of spreading the power throughout his body and kind of keeping it at instead of, kind of a calm buzz sort of thing. Because these powers, he can't really, these quirks are painful and they're not helping him because his body can't handle all that energy. And we got a taste of how much energy he can kind of push out, because Eri, what she was doing is, as he was pushing his percentage, Eri was reversing, and she was kind of keeping him balanced. But now, I think Eri's in the Christmas episode. Oh yeah, Eri Miru is actually in this episode too, but I think they're also in the Christmas episode. But, he has to learn to be able to handle that, so he has to, and I don't know, at his age and power, he's not going to be able to get to 100 for a very long time. But with All for One and all the other kind of things going on, he might have to try to push himself faster than his body can take. And I can't believe that, they're not even through their first year, not even in the manga yet. And this poor boy's gone through so much. But he was like, no, I've got to, the way he was handling his quirk, I can't have people worry about me. So he has to kind of adjust his training style again. But yeah, Kirishima pointed out, he was like, what we saw is not, and it doesn't make sense in terms of like a power quirk. It has nothing to do with that. So yeah, this is really intense. And only Bakugo I like how, and Bakugo's going to be in this talk about One for All and All for One. I'm really excited about that. Anyway, thank you. Let's go into my introduction. If you're watching YouTube, there's no sound, partial image, keeps the copyright monsters at bay. There's a countdown timer, so you can follow along if you wish. For the halfway point, if there is one, I usually stop, talk about it, kind of get some things out that I'm thinking about before I forget them. Then we move on. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Sorry, late dinner. I know. And I'm eating. I know, it's not appropriate. Shinto will be able to hold his own in no time. Yeah, for sure. Also didn't realize, I forgot how much, he's a nice voice. Like, he's a really nice voice. Sorry. So a lot of this intro really has to do with this arc we just finished. Which makes sense because when they go to a new arc, they change the freaking intro. Duh. I liked Vlad a lot. He's funny. Is Vlad from another country? Because that's not a Japanese name. It's not entirely an American or English name either. He used to be for Europe. Or is that like his stage name? Like with All Might, they keep calling him All Might, but his real name's Toshinori. No, even though with Eraserhead, they still call him, Aizawa. No one really calls All Might by his actual name, do they? Except for Gran Torino. Because he's older than everybody. Shinso held his own with what training he's had in a short period of time. I do love the fact that Aizawa, and all of his business with dealing with Class A and Eri, he's also was training Shinso. That man doesn't sleep. No wonder why he always looks so tired. He did a really good job. He did a really, really good job. Yeah, they did a really... Yeah, he did. It's cool. He just wasn't as fast as the others. But that will come in time. Hell, we agreed. Oh, wow! We'll figure that out later. Oh, don't do that! Like how all the girls had the same face, are you saw? Look at the content. We're not doing that. But he couldn't activate it. More flashbacks. Though this one's season 1. This is important. It's not a normal quirk. It's a blank. What does he mean? Yeah. Oh. Does he also know about Eri? That was different from him going from maniacal laughter to like that, like, ooh, so serious. Permeation. Oh, her voice is a little bit different. She has flourished. She's so cute. She's grown so much. What is happening? Bakugo! Oh my god, she's bleeding. He's healed at least. Beyond what, and it grew quite a lot, I think, with him. Two guys always talk here. Oh yeah, it's the first time they've invited into the lounge like this. Even kind of part of the rhythm of it, of him shaking the teapot. Mmm. Scum. The time is right. Hmm. I wonder how long and how much Bakugo has been thinking of this, kind of ruminating and turning this all in his head. Hmm. Stop it! So his emotions and his thoughts are influencing too. Is he muttering, muttering, muttering? So this is their winter uniform with those little collars. I know Bakugo's being Bakugo, but we know that he cares now, and we know that he's really smart. So he's really frustrated about this. I think he's worried too about Deku. He punched him! These boys. Huh. Oh, that's really nice. Oh no, what is Mina showing to him? What is that? What is she making him brainwashing with? Oh, he's heartbroken. He's such a soft, sad print. Oh, we're getting into his thoughts, huh? He's half sharp, half dull, too. Oh! He finally responds with that text. Oh, we're reviewing footage. It's like football. It's cool. What a nice principle. Oh, they're falling in stuff. That's his best friend. That's a name I don't think I've heard before. Don't be a prick. Interesting. A stockpiling one. Oh! Interesting! He could pick up on that. Huh. So he can't... Yeah. Or if he didn't have that restriction on his car, his quirk. No, it's not. She's grown so much. She's so cute. Oh my gosh, she's so much like Deku. Again, they are really dragging out this thing with all those flashbacks. Yeah. It's so beautiful to see how much she's grown, not just physically, but also emotionally. Considering all the evil done to her by Overhaul over her very short little life. Gosh, that's why it hurts. I think it's why it hurts even more. Because it hurts when it's like the teenagers as well. I keep forgetting sometimes that these are children that are fighting these fights. But when you see in a little kid, like Eerie, and realize the evil being done to her, it really hurts. It's supposed to hurt because it's evil. It kind of reminds me in a lot of ways. On Instagram, I follow some anti-human trafficking groups. Operation Underground Railroad was one of them. But they are two. They have different parts, but they have their underground operations where they have usually former military, former police officers going in undercover and to rescue kids caught in trafficking, and most of this is sex trafficking, and without fail, it's going to be, a lot of time it's children. This one operative shared a story that kind of horrified him, where he was, he went to this, what seemed like a little diner where they were. This woman came out, asked them, they got their food, but asked them if they wanted to meet some women. I think he condensed it. He said, yeah. He goes to the bathroom, comes back out. The women that she had lined up were children. Most of them, a lot of them under the age of 13. Like, they're children. And he was so horrified and disgusted. And he talked about how he was very upset because there was one little girl that was really sweet there in particular. And when they moved in, they rescued quite a few of them, but they didn't get her. A lot of them were taken away. And he said that he was upset he never got to save her. from that evil, but he also used the motivation to stop other evil. So it is quite horrific, and a reminder that there are children who are being wickedly used all over the world, in every single continent, well, maybe not Antarctica, because no one's there, but in every single country, in every single continent, with the obvious exception probably of, Antarctica, evil's being done to children, and some of it, the government's well aware of, and some of it the government, doesn't have the resources. That's why Operation Underground is for, because, the police officers know what's happening, but they don't have the resources to go and stop it. So they come in and they assist local law enforcement to stop the evil. But they also have aftercare, which is kind of what Erie's going through, where these young children get to be children again and get to grow and learn to write and learn to and to be able to heal. And Erie is healing. And Miri has become such a big brother to her, which is super sweet. But she's, like, her voice is a little different. She's grown up. She kind of sees really cute, pretty clothes. He's always being a dad to her. But that's cool to learn about Monoma and how what his restrictions are on quirks. So if it builds, like, fat gum has to accumulate fat. Erie has to accumulate something. I'm not sure what she has to accumulate. And so it was interesting how, because it was a blank for Monoma, he knew immediately, your quirk's a stockpiling quirk. But he just doesn't know that stockpiles as it moves from person to person. So that's really cool. I actually like that. Like, oh, that's his restriction. And it's nice to see Monoma not be, like, insane for a moment and be kind of calm and nice. The little horn growth was super cute, but Erie is so cute. Just a little squishy. Yakushima cedar. Sir! Oh, they're being such, Oh no, because she's so lizardy. She freezes with the cold. Good for them. Oh, they'll pass. Thanks, gang Orca. Oh, it feels great. You plankton. Ooh. So petty. Petty Mary. Hmm. Enters the hero support. So that's Endeavor's thing. Oh my gosh, what the heck? Little hero car, is that Bakugo? Is All Might with them? Yeah, but that's what's great. Awesome. Oh, those icicles could kill somebody, That's so cool. Interesting how he can freeze them, but not, like, kill them. Because encasing in ice can kill somebody, unless there's, like, some sort of weird pocket around them. They're an anomaly. Manipulate carbonation. Huh. So they all have different quirks that are working together. Oh, they're just running. Bakugo's like, no. Ooh, shot to the back, didn't it? Or to the back of the head. Because I thought I just was gonna like knock him out. I didn't mean to knock him out. Ooh. Ooh, ow. Yeah, water can hurt. Especially in concentrated streams, really, really hurt. Honey, move! Bakugo! He's calling it just mass destruction. Flash freeze heat wave. He's combining them. You don't get to see him really do that very often. Oh. Or maybe he just did that because his power with that quirk and that quirk. He is not pleasant. Who's the guy in purple? It kind of reminds me of, oh, the spirit? Oh, good. Who is this purple cutie pie? Slide and go. Kind of low-level hero, huh? Ooh, that's gonna come back around. Figure goes in the black market. Oh, that was great. I really did wish I had time to like react to the next episode, but just other things have kind of kept that from happening. I didn't get done tonight. Sorry. Anyway, that was a fun episode. That was enjoyable, actually. Again, we got some flashbacks, but the flashbacks were to like season 1, and there were some little bit of flashbacks we got while characters were talking, so I'm not as mad about that. Because they were to help us reestablish again, this is where, like, how far he's grown. There's also part of me I was just like, was that really necessary completely? The thing with Monoma and learning about that was pretty cool. And understanding that, oh, it's not just one for all. It's also, he can't do that with Erie's quirk. He can't really do that with Fat Gum as well. Because of the accumulation that kind of has to take place. But I like how Aizawa was kind of, I think, desperate enough, not just trustful enough of Monoma, to see if it'll work. He could copy the horn, but he couldn't get anything else. Ooh, post-credit scene. Aww. Oh, they're so cute and preppy. I like how he said it's too big, but he still had a big chunk of cake in his hand. Oh, that was cute. Oh, he kind of used it a little bit there. Oh, no. Alrighty, guess who's gonna stay up and watch that episode, because I just kind of got to. And I really do want to get through these episodes a little faster, so I'm gonna keep this outro really quick and to the point. That was a nice 100th episode. That was actually really lovely. That was a lot of fun. It was, gosh darn it, music stand. It was sweet. It was fun. It was kind of, it had mostly new material. New material. We kind of finally, like, you know, the kids, the two boys got a provisional license, so everyone has their license now. Everyone can do hero work. We've learned some new things, some interesting things about One for All. We got a little taste of Erie, so it all kind of comes together really well. And yeah, this was a solid episode actually, and it was a fun episode. It didn't feel as big and heavy as, or big as, and intensely fun as maybe one might think about 100th episode, but also I think people put too much weight on the 100th episodes. They don't have to be a huge high or a huge low. They kind of, this episode kind of touch upon what we've been experiencing the past 4.5 seasons with Deku's growth and the new quirk and Eri and Mirio and all of that. And with Class B and the provisional license stuff. So it kind of was like, alright, everything that we've experienced so far in the series has been brought to more or less closure. And we're about to dive into a completely new arc, not just for the season, but for the rest of the series. So I think this episode has been like, and now we bring the first half of the beginning, in a lot of ways, to an end. And now we will dive into the next half of the beginning. So a lot of ways it's kind of interesting. We've had, of course, we have our like mid-season like A-B arcs, and then we have our total season arcs. And this episode felt a lot like we were bringing a major arc to an end, and now we're diving into something completely and utterly new. The black market thing, that's going to come up. I know that for certain. Well, I don't know that for certain, but I'm guessing, it's not just a throwaway line. That's going to come up. League of Villains are still doing their thing. We've talked about All for One. Deku's quirk is being kind of odd and weird. So, a lot's happening. And so we've kind of gotten in touch, like, okay, some of the small things, we're like, hey, this part's done. Volume 1 is done. The end of Volume 1. Volume 2! It kind of feels like that. I don't mean like manga-wise volumes, but I mean it just kind of, it feels like that. Like we've reached the end of the first volume. Now we're diving into the second volume. or more. I don't know. Anyway, this episode was cute. It was fun. It was sweet. Even the flashbacks we got weren't too cumbersome or obnoxious because they were necessary and kind of a reminder of how far things have come. And also, sometimes with 100th episodes, you get flashbacks, and that's kind of typical. But this was not my favorite arc. Like I said, it had a lot of like flashback space fillers. Some of these previously on footage stuff felt really long sometimes. And it wasn't, the full wasn't as, intense. But I have to say, though, this would be very different if I was just watching. So now, as a reactor, I've got my critical thinking cap on, or I guess my headphones in a funky way. I've got my critical thinking cap on. And so I'm looking at it very differently than somebody who's just sitting there to watch. So there's, I guess an example would be, I don't know what an example would be. Kind of like those B-level movies, like sci-fi movies. I ended up finding, I almost bought a cute, like, chibi Deku piggy bank at FYE. Did not do that. But it was on sale for like $12. 50 movies, sci-fi movies. Now, some of them are rated R and kind of like more modern, not really my thing. But some of them are like B-level movies. Like one of them, my mom and I, we're gonna watch it soon, is Hercules versus the Martians. We're like, we gotta watch that. Some of them were like, I got it because Gamera was on the cover. But, if I was critiquing it as like a writer or as a movie maker, there'd probably be a lot for you to say, or for filmography. But for fun, if I'm just watching it to enjoy myself, well then, there's still a part of me it's hard for me to turn off the reactor brain or my critical thinking brain, because even before, I guess why I like reacting so much is that it's kind of an extension of how I approach stuff anyway. But also doing these reaction videos has kind of increased how I think about and critique things that I'm watching. And sometimes it's hard to turn that part of the brain off. It really is. Even though with the anime not on Biori, I just watched it. I didn't it's not something to really react to because it's so fluffy and kind of that it's not really an anime I thought was worth reacting, but I really wanted to watch it. Well, sometimes in my reactor brain, I make comments in my head like, oh, ... If I was reacting to it, that's what comments I would make. I did react to the Nun on Biori movie, so go check that out. It doesn't do as well as the Your Name reaction, but I still react to that movie. But it's how I watch something just to watch it. So my point is, I probably would enjoy this a lot more if I wasn't like in super critical brain thinking mode. But it was not a terrible arc. It wasn't awful. It wasn't boring, really. It just wasn't, as far as the arcs of My Hero Academia go, it wasn't its best. Still better than some arcs we've experienced in different live action or anime shows, depending on the show. I haven't encountered an arc I've hated yet, though, for a show. Well, that's not true. From when I was young watching Naruto, that dragged on. Oh my gosh. But that was because of how they approached the show. Anyway, so in terms of arcs, it's not my favorite, but also for My Hero Academia, which is a pretty good level, it's not awful. It's probably better than some arcs we've encountered in some shows. But for My Hero Academia, it wasn't its best arc. Not that it was badly written or badly directed or it wasn't fun. It was a fun arc. But, yeah, it's not strongest. But that's because, again, someone said it was a really short section of the manga that was dragged out. So I'm excited to dive into the next part. It actually is getting late, so I will unfortunately not be watching the 100th episode. It might come up later this week, or I might wait for the following week. We'll see how the week goes. I still have to play catch-up for my live-action shows. I'm definitely going to be finishing out and watching and playing catch-up for Stargirl, and for Supergirl, I'm just gonna skip these previous 3 episodes and just dive into episode 13. I'm like, I can't have time for this. I'm not as invested in the show as the other one. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and putting up with what I decided to do with my headphones. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your enemies, and I will see you next time.